In a significant escalation of international support, the United States has committed to a new, substantial military aid package for Ukraine, a move poised to reshape the dynamics of the ongoing conflict with Russia. This decision, announced by top administration officials, underscores a deepening American involvement in a war that has raged for over 2 years, testing the resilience of Ukrainian forces and the unity of the Western alliance. The package, valued in the billions of dollars, includes a range of advanced weaponry and essential munitions, specifically chosen to address Kyiv's most urgent battlefield needs. This infusion of military hardware is not merely a replenishment of depleted stocks. It is a strategic maneuver designed to empower Ukraine to reclaim the initiative, bolster its defensive lines, and impose a higher cost on Russian aggression. The announcement comes at a critical juncture in the war, as Ukrainian troops have been facing intense pressure along the extensive Eastern Front, often contending with a significant disadvantage in artillery and air power. White House and Pentagon statements have emphasized that this aid is a direct response to Russia's intensified offensive operations and is aimed at ensuring Ukraine has the necessary tools to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. The international community is watching closely, as the ripple effects of this decision will be felt not only on the battlefields of the Donbas, but also in the corridors of power in Moscow, Brussels, and beyond. This American commitment is a powerful signal that the West is not wavering in its support for Kyiv, even as the conflict enters a protracted and grueling phase. The contents of this latest aid package are diverse and technologically advanced, reflecting a comprehensive assessment of Ukraine's current and future military requirements. A cornerstone of the new assistance is the provision of long-range precision-guided missiles, such as the Army Tactical Missile System ATACMS. These systems, with their ability to strike high-value targets deep behind enemy lines, have the potential to severely disrupt Russian logistics, command and control centers, and ammunition depots. By holding these critical nodes at risk, Ukrainian forces can degrade the Russian military's ability to sustain its offensive operations and coordinate its forces effectively. In addition to these long-range strike capabilities, the package includes a significant number of advanced air defense systems, a critical component in countering Russia's dominance in the skies. Systems like the Patriot and National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile Systems (NASAMS) are designed to intercept everything from cruise missiles and ballistic missiles to drones and combat aircraft, providing a protective umbrella for Ukrainian cities' critical infrastructure and frontline troop concentrations. The constant threat of Russian airstrikes has been a major challenge for Ukraine, and bolstering its air defense network is seen as a top priority for preserving both military effectiveness and civilian morale. Furthermore, the aid package addresses the grinding, attritional nature of the ground war with a massive supply of artillery shells, particularly the 155mm rounds used in the majority of NATO's standard howitzers. Ukrainian commanders have repeatedly highlighted a severe shell hunger that has forced their gunners to ration ammunition, often being outgunned by a factor of 10 to 1 in some sectors. This fresh influx of shells is intended to level the playing field, allowing Ukrainian artillery to provide consistent suppressive fire, counter-battery operations, and support for infantry assaults. The package also includes a substantial number of armored vehicles, including M2 Bradley fighting vehicles and Stryker armored personnel carriers. These vehicles provide Ukrainian troops with enhanced mobility, protection, and firepower, which are crucial for conducting both defensive operations and offensive maneuvers. The ability to move troops securely across the battlefield, particularly under fire, is a key element in modern combined arms warfare. Rounding out the package are other essential items, such as anti-tank missiles like the Javelin, a weapon that proved devastatingly effective in the early stages of the war, along with drones for reconnaissance and targeting, small arms ammunition, and medical supplies. This comprehensive approach aims to equip the Ukrainian military from the individual soldier to the strategic command level. The strategic impact of this military aid is multifaceted, with immediate tactical implications and long-term geopolitical consequences. On the battlefield, the infusion of new weapons and ammunition is expected to have a near-immediate effect. The ability to strike deep into Russian-occupied territory with ATACMS will force the Russian military to rethink its logistical setup, likely pushing its supply hubs and command posts further from the front lines. This relocation will complicate their operations, increase transit times, and create new vulnerabilities that Ukrainian forces can exploit. The enhanced air defense capabilities will, in turn, provide Ukrainian ground forces with greater freedom of movement, reducing the constant threat from Russian aviation and allowing for more ambitious offensive planning. By creating safer rear areas and protected assembly points, Ukraine can better concentrate its forces for breakthroughs and counterattacks. The replenishment of artillery stocks is perhaps the most critical immediate impact, allowing Ukraine to contest Russia's primary advantage on the battlefield. With sufficient ammunition, Ukrainian artillery can effectively target Russian troop concentrations, disrupt their assaults, and provide the crucial fire support needed for their own ground forces to advance or hold their positions beyond the immediate tactical gains. The aid serves as a powerful morale booster for the Ukrainian armed forces and the civilian population. After months of grueling defensive battles and ammunition shortages, the arrival of substantial Western support reaffirms that they are not alone in their fight. This psychological uplift is a critical component of national resilience and can translate into renewed determination and combat effectiveness on the front lines. For Russia, the message is equally clear. The West is prepared for a long-term confrontation and will not allow Ukraine to be defeated through a strategy of attrition. This reality forces a difficult recalculation in Moscow, as the Kremlin must now contend with a better-equipped and re-energized adversary. The aid package fundamentally challenges the Russian narrative that Western support is fragile, and that time is on Moscow's side. It demonstrates a strategic resolve that could compel Russia to reconsider its war aims or, at the very least, acknowledge that a swift military victory is unattainable. This long-term commitment from the United States is designed to alter the strategic calculus, creating conditions that may be more favorable for a future negotiated settlement that respects Ukrainian sovereignty. However, the delivery of this aid is not without significant challenges and complexities. The logistical effort required to transport such a vast quantity of military hardware across Europe and into an active war zone is immense. It involves a complex network of air, sea, and land transportation, all of which is a potential target for Russian interdiction efforts. Ensuring the secure and timely delivery of these weapons to the front lines, where they are most needed, is a paramount operational challenge. Once the equipment arrives, Ukrainian forces face the task of integrating these new systems into their existing military structure. This involves extensive training for soldiers to operate and maintain the advanced weaponry, a process that takes time and resources. While Ukrainian troops have demonstrated a remarkable aptitude for rapidly mastering Western equipment, the scale of this new package will test their training capacity. Furthermore, maintaining these sophisticated systems requires a robust and resilient maintenance and repair pipeline to keep them operational amidst the rigors of combat. The Russian response to this escalation in U.S. aid has been predictably hostile. Moscow has condemned the move as a direct act of aggression, accusing the United States of prolonging the conflict and risking a direct confrontation between nuclear-armed powers. Russian officials have vowed to intensify their attacks and have stated that all Western weapons on Ukrainian soil are legitimate military targets. This raises the prospect of increased Russian efforts to strike logistical hubs, transportation routes, and training centers within Ukraine. There is also the persistent risk of miscalculation or unintended escalation. As more advanced and longer-range U.S. weapons are used to strike targets in Russian-occupied territories, and potentially even within Russia itself, the Kremlin may feel pressured to respond in a manner that could widen the conflict. This delicate dance of escalation management is a constant concern for policymakers in Washington and other NATO capitals, who must balance the need to support Ukraine with the imperative of avoiding a direct war with Russia. The international reaction has been largely divided along predictable geopolitical lines. NATO allies have widely praised the U.S. decision, with many European nations vowing to increase their own contributions to Ukraine's defense. This display of transatlantic unity is intended to present a strong, united front against Russian aggression. Conversely, countries with closer ties to Russia, including China and Iran, have criticized the move, echoing Moscow's claims that it will only exacerbate the conflict and undermine efforts for a peaceful resolution. This divergence of views highlights the broader global competition that frames the Ukraine war, a contest between a U.S.-led bloc of democratic nations and an emerging axis of authoritarian states. The long-term implications of this sustained military support will continue to shape the future of European security and the global balance of power for years to come.